Yes, everybody, welcome to the preview. Manchester United versus Wolverhampton. It's a chance for us to overturn the little issue that we had in the FA Cup, but only a few days ago, really, isn't it? This video is sponsored by BetBull, so if you would like to check out the offers that we've got in the description below, that'd be much appreciated from my end. So let's have a look then. What are we looking at in terms of this fixture? We saw at the weekend, Arsenal cruise to a 2-0 victory over Newcastle. We saw City cruise to a 2-0 win over Fulham. Chelsea basically stole 3 points from Cardiff because of... Do you know what? I'm going to agree with Neil Warnock for a minute. Absolutely garbage refereeing decisions. The Lloris howler absolutely gifts Liverpool the victory, which was difficult watching. You're watching it going, I don't know who I want to win this. I don't want Liverpool to win the league. But I also don't want Spurs to try and get ahead of us in the league table because, as you can see, league table is pretty chocker at the moment. There's essentially not really many points between any of us. We're on 61. Everybody else is just right there with us. United have got... It's not even in our hands, really, in the grand scheme of things. Currently in 5th. Arsenal with the victory last night there over Newcastle jump us into 3rd. United need to go and win all of our games. Solskjaer thinks 15 out of the next 7 games would be good enough, and hopefully he's right, but I think it's probably going to be a little bit too much for us to come 3rd in this instance, unless we start to see some of the others really start to massively drop points. Spurs are absolutely level on points with us, which is a bit of a disgrace considering how we started the season. Not won a home game, or not won a league game even since February, which is an absolute disgrace. But that is where we are in terms at the moment. It's absolutely chocker, and there's 4 teams going for 2 places and 2 teams are going to miss out. I feel like Chelsea are going to be one of those, and I hope it's Arsenal, but I just hope it's not. Manchester United are one of the ones that miss out. A little bit of news that broke yesterday was that Herrera's contract looks like it's going to come to an end with him going to choose to go to Paris Saint-Germain at the end of the season on a free transfer because United won't bow down to his wage demands. Supposedly looking at getting 200 grand a week, and I've seen people absolutely fuming about this. Herrera, 200 grand a week? Oh, they'll just fucking run around. Well, for starters, I don't agree that he only runs around. I think he's a pretty key player for what United need to do, and I definitely would want to keep hold of him. 200 grand a week, though, is that ridiculous? Well, yeah, it is ridiculous. But when you paint it up against Alexis Sanchez being on 350 a week, it becomes less ridiculous. And it's quite easy to see why players are walking into contract negotiations. If this is true, let me just caveat that by saying if this is true, because I'm not 100% sure. I think you have to look at the source of where this has come from. The only guy reporting it as an original source is Duncan Castles. Now, we all know Duncan Castles is the mouthpiece of Jorge Mendes and Jose Mourinho. There's all sorts of reasons why a Jorge Mendes started rumour and something that benefits Jose Mourinho that destabilises what's going on at United. You can see why Mourinho and Mendes and eventually Castles would like that. So I'm saying be wary of the source. That's not to say it's not true, because I think Herrera leaving has been on the cards for a little while. But I'd just say consider the source when looking at this one. I'd love him to stick around. 200 grand a week. If we go, do you know what? No, we can get somebody better, somebody younger. Okay. If it's, if Ndombele is not going to want 200 grand a week, and United look at wages more than they look at transfer fees when it comes to budgeting. So if it was a case of we can get Ndombele or we keep Herrera for another couple of seasons, well, I go, all right, okay. Twist it. But it's not always about signing players, and we've allowed too many good players to leave recently. And I would like to see more decent players stuck around, to be honest with you. Righty then. FA Cup fixture versus Wolves. We obviously did not win that. Lost 2-1 in it. We lost 2-1. We got completely dominated by a 5-man midfield. We did play Jesse Lingard on the right-hand side, but if we have a look here at what we did on the right-hand side, you'll see that there was nothing from United on the right-hand side there. There was a lot of traffic on that left-hand side, and because of that, we saw Wolves move their own men over to the right-hand side and completely block up that channel for us. You see in the midfield there's a couple of them, and we can see they moved their defender right over to the right-hand side. And if you see an actual example of this on the pitch right here, and you can see just how many numbers they've got in the mixer there, and you can see how many numbers United have got, and it's just... it was just congested. Here's another example. You can see the numbers that they've got over us in that corner. You can also see the numbers of men that they've got in the box there. And it was just hard work for United to try and find anything. It was, for me, the main reasons why we struggled to create something in this game. That's what I think anyway. Go back to the United lineup. Let's have a look. Not that lineup. Here we go. So this is what we did against Wolves last time. As you can see there, for me, when you play a 4-4-2 diamond, what you're really looking for is for one of the players, in this case, probably Jesse Lingard, to take up that central position. I would have wanted the two forwards to be over to the right a little bit more. Maybe just either side of the D. And you want Ander Herrera to be pushed up. For me, Ander Herrera and Matic was both doing the same job. I mean, didn't need two people to do that job. I think if you just basically take out, not just because it's Ander Herrera, but if you take out Ander Herrera and put in somebody on that right-hand side there for us, I think you actually see a massive improvement in what United are trying to achieve in this instance. If we... Basically, there was nobody doing that. And we also, when we crossed it, we was crossing it basically to nobody. We didn't get enough bodies in the box. We didn't put in enough crosses. There was a lot of issues for that. And for those reasons, this is the starting 11 that I would like to go for with them this time. And this isn't to say that I think Wolves are probably going to rest players. I think they're probably going to... They'll probably stick with 3-5-2, but I think they're probably going to rest players. And I can't really blame them for that with an FA Cup semi-final and basically a chance to get into European football for them if they can go on and do something. But the starting 11 I'd like to see from United: David Nett. We're going to go with Young, Smalling, Lindelof and Shaw. McTominay as a number 6, just to freshen it up. Matic hasn't looked right since he come back. Neither's Ander Herrera. Let's bring Scott McTominay in. He's done a pretty decent job of keeping it simple, and that's what we need to do. So let's keep it simple with McTominay. I will go with Jesse Lingard for the energy alongside Paul Pogba, because as you've seen from the average positions before, they're both playing that sort of role anyway. So let's play him as an actual number 8, give him the freedom to sort of get into that number 10 role. And the big change I want to see here is Dalot. Now, we have been starved of good quality on that right-hand side, and for that reason, I really want to see somebody played on the right-hand side. Not because I think Dalot's a future right winger, as a lot of people are saying, or is this or is that or is the other. I think that because he just offers something on that right-hand side and he's got the positional discipline to stick on that right-hand side, for me, I want to see him played there. Down the middle, Marcus Rashford. I would have rested him, but it looks like Lukaku's not going to be available. There's a serious doubt over him for this game. And on the left, Tony Marshall. And I think we get about them. We've got energy in the midfield. We've got balance, which I think we sorely lacked in the last fixture against them. And that's what I want to see from United. This is a sponsored video, as we mentioned, and it's sponsored by BetBull, and there's up to £100 in sign-up offers that we've got for you guys if you want to come and get in the mixer with those. The link is in the description. The two bets that I'm going to go for this game then are, I think United are going to win this one because I think they're going to rotate, and I'm going to go with United 3-0. I do think there might be a penalty in the game, and you're going to get some tasty odds with BetBull for that. It's around about 40-1, so if you fancy that one, that's one that I'm going to be going for. I'm going to stick a cheeky fiver on that one. And the other bet that I'm going to go for is United to win 2-0 and Pogba to get an assist, and you can get 24-1 with that as well. So you're looking at returns of about 125 quid for this one and about 250 for the previous one. That's what I'm thinking. Let me know in the comments what bets you've got as well, and also make sure to hit me up with those two over on Twitter. We've got a super chat. Let's have a look. If we were to decide to only pluck players from Premier League teams, who would you take for... I'm not doing that, mate. We'll talk about that another day when we look at transfer targets. But yeah, make sure to be checking out BetBull. The link is in the description. Please gamble responsibly, 18 and over, and all that good sort of stuff. Let's look at the questions that you guys have got for us. Let me pull the questions up from the good lads over on Discord. And I'll pull up what is going on. Why is there loads of pop-ups? We have got questions. Here we go. Right then, so from the top, Connor says, how are you feeling going into the game? 3 points here will make the rest of the run slightly easier and top 3 more realistic. Without being cliche-tastic, I think you've just got to take it one game at a time at the moment. we can't really do anything else. We've got a massive fixture against Barcelona next week. But let's be real, we're probably not going to get through that. We really can get into the top 4 under our own steam. So let's just concentrate on this, take it that one game at a time, and see what happens. Will says, is this a must-win game if we want top 4, and how should we set up differently compared to the FA Cup? So I've already covered how we're going to set up and what I think would be different to how we set up in the FA Cup. But yeah, I think it is a must-win game. This is a 3 points on offer for us with a team that's very likely to rotate. United need to get 3 points here, and not just for what it means for our top 4 chances. I think we need to get 3 points here so we can have the confidence that Ole has learned and Mike has learned from the lessons of that first game, where I thought we was tactically outdone by Wolves, and if we go and do the exact same thing again, that's a bad precedent for us to set. So I'm really hoping that we see a different United with a different mentality and a different set of tactics for approaching this game, because then we can go, okay, they learned from the lessons, let's move forward. Ryan says, since the PSG result, we've been flat. Was hoping with that international break where most of the first team didn't play, we'd see some more energy from the team. Is it something to start worrying about, in my opinion? We saw when Pep came in and when Klopp came in and when other people have looked at bringing in a totally different style of play, it takes a period of adjustment. And that period of adjustment has usually lasted a good 4, 5, 6 months when someone's come in. And because of that, you've seen those clubs take a bit of a nosedive. Now, we got a big bounce when Ole came in. We've got a tough period of fixtures, and we've also had a real absolute hammering with injuries. And I think those are what are taking the toll on United. I agree that I did expect some sort of a lift post international break, considering how many actually didn't even bother going. And we haven't really seen that, but we are still playing with injured players all the time, and that is a nightmare for us, I think. It is what it is. What do we have to do different to not repeat our FA Cup shame? As was already covered before. Luke says, stacking the midfield and playing Lukaku the key to beating Wolves, as he gets the name of being a flat track bully. Well, I wouldn't call Wolves a flat track bully. I wanted to play Lukaku because he drifts naturally over to that right-hand side, and I think that's where we could get a little bit of balance. I think you could probably do well in the air by putting crosses in, and if you're going to put crosses in from somebody like Delo, then you definitely want Lukaku on the end of them, if possible. If you can't get him in, then what I'm hoping to see, if we bang the starting 11 back up for us, please. What I would like to see from the starting 11 is at set pieces. One of the reasons I put McTominay in there. McTominay and Smalling and Pogba have to get in the box. Let's use the delivery of Delo to get on the end of stuff. When Delo's putting it in from the right-hand side, I want to see Pogba steaming in at the back post. I want to see Marcus and Marshall going front post and penalty spot. And I want to see us pack the box when we get these opportunities. And I want to see Luke Shaw actually get into the final third. Those of you who watch United Review, when we played Wolves in the FA Cup, we saw how far back Luke Shaw was and where his involvement was. It wasn't as high up the pitch because he was nullified by the absolute carnage and clogged up lanes that we saw in front of him. If United are going to have any sort of success tonight in this game, we have to have the balance. And the balance doesn't just give you more outlets. It makes it easier for you in the middle. When we're all coming down the left-hand side here, their defence just comes all the way over and it just sits there and clogs up the lanes nice and easily. And if you have someone on the right-hand side, well, they have to look at him and then they have to take 2-yard step towards him. And when someone takes a 2-yard step towards him, they're 2 yard further away from the striker that's in the middle of the box, and it creates more space, literally creating space by having options that they have to worry about. When everyone piles in over the left-hand side, can throw a blanket over us and everyone just stands there and goes, well, they're not going to do anything over the right hand side, so let's just wait here for them and make it hard for us to pass through the lines. And that is exactly what they did. Harry says, what forward line do I think would be most potent? It would have included, I would have rested Marcus and I would have gone with Lukaku and Marshall if I had the option to do that. I don't think we're getting the option to do that. Is Valencia dead, says Tino. I don't think so, but it looks like he's increasingly likely to be offloaded. I wonder if something's happened that we've not heard about behind the scenes. Do I expect the lineup to be the same that will face Barcelona in the next match? That's an interesting proposition. I would say no, because I think we've still got players coming back from injuries. But if Ole had anything specific in mind, if he thought that we could win this one quite comfortably, expecting Wolves to rotate, that would be a great opportunity to try and mimic what you would expect with Barcelona. Maybe. Or maybe you don't want to show your hand a little bit and you play this game as you play this game and you deal with Barcelona in a totally separate way. Do I think after the cup loss, says Matt, that our desire for revenge will bring about a tempo we've been lacking of late? Hopefully. Yeah. It'd be good to see that, wouldn't it? Ali says, if Herrera leaves, who would you want to come in and replace him? Ndombele for me. It's a good box-to-box midfielder with a hell of a ball on him as well. I'd like that. False 6 says, what do I think of Ndidi as a replacement for Matic? I like Ndidi. I do like Ndidi. I like Idrissa Gueye as well. I think they're both good players. Pretty impressive game at the weekend with 11 tackles and 5 interceptions. That's literally what you're looking for someone in that sort of number 6 role, isn't it? People are saying get Kante and all that lot done. Well, yeah, you don't really need to do that because there's cheaper options. Kante's going to cost you about 80, 90, 100 million at the moment if you could even prize him out of Chelsea. There's other options out there. Hugo says, I'd like to see Pogba given the licence to make those runs into the box again. Not sure that the Wolves backline could handle him. Who do you think is the key player to help us beat Wolves? I think it's Dalot, literally by offering that balance, because there's no space for Pogba to run into when everyone just congested up on the left-hand side. One option could be to play Pogba on the right-hand side of midfield, rather than line him up on the left where we've seen him of late. Put him on the right, allow him to use his ability to spread the ball to both channels, and you might see him arriving in different places. Early in Solskjaer's reign, we did see that from him. Lately, teams have started to clog him up. That's why I put Jesse Lingard in there, because Lingard's movement's fantastic, his link-up play is fantastic, and I think that if you do manage to shut Pogba down a little bit, Lingard's movement will free up some space elsewhere. Alex says, Pogba out, Neves and then Ndombele in. Happy. I mean, if you had to replace Pogba and Herrera with Neves and Ndombele, we wouldn't play the same way, and you're not getting the exact same sort of players, but you could get a very good system out of those, I think. Ricky says, what do I think of Smalling hold-up players in the box with VAR coming next season? Do I feel is a liability? I think it might have been Mitz actually the other day said, I wonder if that was why we didn't take him to the World Cup. Someone in there said it the other day, and I was like, it's not a bad point, actually. Jack says, can I see Dalot at right-back, or will Ole persist with Ashley Young, considering we lost when Young was absent? It wasn't because Young was absent. Jack. He might play him at right-back, because I think Young does look tired at the moment, more so than normal. So he might play him at right-back. I think there's defensive issues with his game, but I think we also need the balance on the right as well. So even though I debated it, I think he'll probably double him up a little bit. Ant says, it feels this game was more about mentality than ability. Are we equipped to overcome the psychological edge Wolves have over us? You would hope so. I mean, we're not the strongest United side we've ever seen, by a long stretch. But we still should be good enough to put them away. But I think you're right that there's a psychological element to this. And I hope that, as someone mentioned earlier, that United come out with a good attitude in this game. Will Marshall run to learn in behind? I think he's got to play more centrally for that. Marshall kind of annoys me the way he literally just stands on the touchline and waits for things to happen. I think if he had more movement about him and came a bit more centrally, like when he's running at people, he's a top elite level dribbler with the ball at his feet. His close control is sickening. If you allow him to do that more, you're going to see a lot more out of him. And his link-up play's been a lot better since he signed his contract as well, when it seems like he's playing for the team, not for himself. Jabir, with Wolves giving us a lot of the ball last time, it was difficult to give the midfield a second. Is it time to give the midfield a second baller like Angel or Andreas to create chances? It's kind of what I did with Lingard. I did sort of look at the option of having Mata in there, and I think that is an option that you can go for. I just decided to go with Lingard because I think we're going to need that little bit more tempo. Or would you rather match them with a 3-5-2? Again, in the car on the way in this morning, we was talking about what if we went 3-5-2? Does that give us what we're looking for? And I do think 3-5-2 is a definite option for us. I just don't think we'll see it. I think it'll probably stick with a back four, but I wouldn't be shocked to see it. I really wouldn't. Sean says, how high up should our backline be against Wolves? They hit the ball high into the centre circle when they're defending and go from there on the attack. Do you feel it's imperative to get the positional line of the defence right? You're going to play a high line. because you're going to have a lot of possession. You're going to be deep into their territory, so you're going to have a high line. Because if you don't have a high line, then they end up in that space in between the defence and midfield, and that's just as deadly as almost getting in behind you. Certainly as deadly as getting in behind you on the flanks, at least, anyway. So it's going to be a high line regardless. What we have to do is, United have to do those tactical fouls that you see City just getting away with constantly. You won't see more of that. Just launch someone as they cross the halfway line. Yeah, you might pick up the odd yellow card, but it stops the... If Luke Shaw had done that in the first leg, in the FA Cup tie, we probably wouldn't have gone out. I think that's something that United lack, and that's maybe what we're lacking, a little bit of leadership. And maybe that if we can get a proper leader in, a proper horrible bastard, then they can deliver that for us. Do I have any data suggesting the players are being run into the ground? Why do we look so lethargic of late? Actually, was thinking of getting someone on actually to see what the distance run has been of late, because I know it definitely took a step up because we was bottom of the league under Ole and under Jose, and we've not been under Ole, and I think that's probably just taking some sort of adjustment to the players. The tempo of games isn't helping, I don't think either, but it's the fat end of the season. It's always going to be like that. Big Lou, what do I make of the club supposedly looking internally for a director of football? I think people are just throwing articles out left, right and centre. I think it'll be an external appointment. There could be a chance that Mike Phelan's going to do that if he decides he wants to move into... Here's a potential thing that I'll just say this, I haven't texted Rennie asking about this, but this could be something that could happen. You might see Rennie Mullenstein come in as assistant coach perhaps, and then Mike move upstairs as director of football. That could be a pretty decent option for United if that's what they're going to do. I don't know what they're going to do though. Righty, I'm going to call it a day, and I will be with you guys later for United Review. So make sure to come and join us tonight around about 11 o'clock after the game, hopefully with 3 points in the bag. Make sure to check out BetBull. The link is in the description below, and check out the bets that I'm going for as well. 48-1 and 24-1 if you fancy either of those. I'm on a 5 on those, and let's hope that they come in with those 3 points. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Laters.